Alright, it's 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. And that means it's time for another thrilling edition of Frosties Drive-By. We're going to start off today's episode of Frosties Drive-By with a listener question. A listener question. Last week, my good buddy KB asked, on a comment on the video, what are my favorite sodas? I think it was one of my top 5 favorite sodas. Well, that's easy. Let's see. Number 1, Coke. Coke products all the way. I'm a Coke fan, not a Pepsi fan. I will drink Pepsi if there is nothing else available. I do not prefer it. So, number 1, I do likes the Coke. Number 2, I do likes the Dr. Pepper. And Dr. Pepper is the only brand of soda that I would drink in diet form. I hate all diet sodas except for Diet Dr. Pepper. I grew to a hankering for Diet Dr. Pepper when I was in college. So, that is the only diet soda that I will drink. So, Coke, Dr. Pepper, and that's about it. Oh, and I do like the Code Red. The Code Red Mountain Dew. But I can't drink too much Mountain Dew because there's too much sugar and caffeine in the Mountain Dew. And so, why am I stopped in the middle of an intersection? And so, it makes me all fluttery inside, so there you have it. Coke, Dr. Pepper, and Mountain Dew, the red version. Speaking of sodas, my father used to drink Moxie. And I don't know if any of you folks out there have ever drank Moxie, but I gotta tell you, that stuff tastes like straight up asshole. Moxie is a bitter soda, and everybody that I've ever talked to, there's no in-betweens with the Moxie. You either like the Moxie, or you detest the Moxie. My father liked the Moxie. Me? I put that stuff in my car. I would not even drink it. Stuff is gross. And now Moxie's making energy drinks. Ew. Horrible. So if you are out there and you like Moxie, tell me why. Why? What about Moxie do you actually like? It's gross. It's got the worst aftertaste in the soda I've ever had. Worst aftertaste of anything. It's like drinking oil. Blah. Blah. That's the face I make for the Moxie. What else is going on in the world of Frosty? Another week, another dollar, another week. Work is okay. Work is fine. Work is okay. Work is fine. Yeah, that's a repeat. Was a great week in wrestling, though. The WWE Network launched. There's been some bugs. It's been buggy and glitchy. And they've been having issues with some of the apps. The Xbox 360 app just flat out doesn't work. I watch it on my PS3. I can watch it on my phone. I can watch it on my laptop. In the beginning, it was buggy. It was freezing a lot. They seem to have fixed that. And last night was the first time I watched a live stream, because Thursday night was the debut of the live stream of the NXT Arrival from Orlando, Florida. They film it at Full Sail University. And the live stream did go down towards the end, around the main event. Got about an hour and a half into the live stream, and then it went kaput. It didn't go kaput for everybody. I know it went kaput for people who were watching it on their Roku devices. It went kaput on my PS3. PS3 people were having problems. So it didn't go down for everybody, but it did go down. So, you know, it's the first week of a launch. Hopefully they should have it fixed. They said the Xbox, problems with the Xbox app should be fixed by Monday, is what they're saying. And they have 5 weeks to get the issues with the live stream fixed. Because 5 weeks until WrestleMania. And I'll guarantee you, if WrestleMania goes down, oh holy hell, that could be bad for them. But, you know, they're working out the kinks faster than I thought, so good for them. But it's a good product. I mean, it's a hell of a good product. It's got, I watched the very first Royal Rumble the other night, and I didn't have any problems watching the on-demand. It worked fine. No hiccups, no freezes. Royal Rumble, I think it was 1988. And it was neat. It's a blast from the past, so that's the fun stuff there. And nothing much else is going on in the world of Frosty this week. Some of the things that may be going up on the horizon. Oh yeah, and I watched a shitty movie. I watched Sinister yesterday, and you know, there may be people out there that like the movie. I thought it was just okay. It didn't scare me, didn't freak me out. Maybe I'm just a hardened, whatever. I'm cold-hearted and hardened, but you know, it didn't scare me. I didn't find it to be too original. I know it got a lot of praises and a lot of reviews, a lot of good things about it, but I just, you know, I watched it and that was about it. And I put it back on the shelf and I was done. I rented it from the library, watched it, returned it, whatever. So, what's on the horizon for Frosty? Frosty, what does Frosty have for the future? Frosty doesn't know, except that he's pretty sure that he's going to start referring to himself in the third person. I've been thinking a lot about getting some of my stories published, doing some of that Kindle Direct publishing, and maybe seeing if I can get a couple of my stories up on ebook format. For those of you who may or may not know about the Fro, I do write, much like John, my friend John Steele. He writes his urban poetry. I write stories. I write fiction stories, specifically horror stories. I have written science fiction stories. I've been writing stories since I was a wee lad, since I was probably about 8 years old. Always wanted to be a writer. I was a big fan of Stephen King, and I thought that, you know, that was something that I wanted to do. Always enjoyed telling stories. Always enjoyed making stuff up. Always enjoyed, you know, doing all that creative stuff. John and I, when we were kids, we used to write stories together, make stuff up. For a while, we were trying to make our own comic books, just doing all kinds of stuff. And so I've always been into writing stories, writing neat things. I've always read a lot. I used to read everything I could get my hands on. So, and I knew when I was a kid I wanted to be a writer. Well, that sort of petered out, and I got older. I went to college to be an English major, and that didn't work out. That's why I became a psych major. But, you know, I never stopped writing, and I have a box, much like John has a box of all the writings that he has kept together over the years. I have a box of stories, which do include numerous short stories, and also two novel length book manuscripts. I wrote two manuscripts, each that were about 90,000 words long. Pretty good solid stories. And you know, I never pursued it. I did pursue it for a while and whatever. I do have a story published. I did get a short story published in 2005 or 7. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. But I did get a short story published in a small print magazine out of Oklahoma called Outer Darkness. So one of my stories did get published. I didn't get paid money for it. They paid me in contributors' copies, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But lately I've been thinking that maybe with all this Kindle Direct publishing and, you know, ebooks and whatnot, that I want to maybe pursue this writing a bit more. So what I was thinking of doing was actually getting sort of a compilation together of some of what I thought were my favorite or my best short stories, and releasing in Kindle format or e-format a small, like a short story collection. And, maybe putting it up for free, or maybe putting it up for $1, just something to get out there. And if that seems to take off or seems to work, then maybe publishing one of the bigger novels. So that's on the horizon, and that's something I've been thinking about. I just have to get off my ass and do it. And that's really what it amounts to. It amounts to putting the controller down, not watching the WWE Network, just doing something in my free time, actually doing something creative, getting off my ass, and putting that stuff out there. So, with that being said, that, my friends, is the 11-minute mark. Dun, 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 dun. Our time is up for this week. That is what's been going on in my world and in my head, and I will catch you next time, next Friday, same bat time, same bat channel, for the next edition of Frosty's Drive-By.